Boys and girls, here we go with lesson 4. Let's jump straight into it. So this is bubble 1 in lesson 4, and so you can see that there is some text up here. You can read through it, but basically look right here where it says new code. See, we're going to learn in this lesson about these 3 blocks of code, about setting a background color, and then ellipse and rectangle. We already know those blocks of code, but if you notice, and I already have gone over this very briefly, but now you can see we can add W and H, which stands for width and height of the ellipse and also width and height of the rectangle. So they don't always have to be a tiny square and a tiny circle. They can be football shaped things. They can be big, long rectangles or tall rectangles. So we can set those the sizes of the width and height. So let's take a look at that. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing. So let's move on to bubble 2 and click continue. Here we go. So it says rectangle size. It says these rectangle blocks have 2 more parameters that you can use to control the size. Okay, notice that the no stroke block turns off the border for shapes. So again, this is important to know right here. Okay, and actually let me change the mouse real quick. I like this one. Okay, I'm reading right here. The no stroke block turns off the stroke. A border, that means border. Stroke means border. Okay, so when you put this line of code at the top, no stroke, then it's not going to have a black line drawn around the edge of the rectangle. It's going to be the color. The color is going to go all the way to the edge, and then there's going to be no black line surrounding it. So for example, watch, if I run this, you can see that the blue and the red rectangles don't have any kind of border. But if I take this line of code out and then run it again, you can see that now they have a black, you can see that those thin black lines that surround. So it's just a different look. So which look do you want? Depends. If you want it to be without a border, put the no stroke. Okay, so reset, run. Okay, you can see the difference right now. Okay, play around with that. Now let's see what this says. It says do this. Look at the code and try to figure out how the last 2 inputs in rectangle work. Okay, so we already talked about it. See these right here. We're talking about this number and we're talking about this number, the width and the height. So just so you know, the width is the sideways dimension. Width means from left to right. Height means from top to bottom. Okay, so again, the width comes first, then the height. Okay, so it goes like this. X for the rectangle. Okay, the X coordinate comes first, then the Y coordinate, then the width, and then the height. So one more time. X comes first, then Y, then the width, then the height. Now you don't have to use all those like I've told you. You could click this back arrow and take these off one at a time so you're just left with the X and Y coordinates. You know this, we were doing that in the last lesson. But if you want to control the width, click that arrow that points to the right, and then you have an extra space for the width, and you can just use that. Or if you want the height also, you have to click the arrow again to show that now you have the width there and the height there. Okay, so what were those numbers again? 100, 200, that's what they were at the beginning. And then it says, change the numbers in the second rectangle to make red rectangle longer than the blue one. Okay, so basically we want this picture in the upper right hand corner, and what we're looking at now is this, where the red rectangle is shorter. So we want it to be higher. So that for the red rectangle, that is not this number or this number. It's not the third number, it's the last number. So we want something bigger than 150. So I'm going to say like 250. Okay, I'm going to change that last number 250. I'm going to run my program, and boom, we see that the red rectangle is now longer than the blue rectangle. It doesn't say how much bigger it has to be, it just says make it bigger. So we did, and it looks really a lot like this picture now. I'd say that's about perfect. So we're done. Let's click finish and move on. I will see you in the next video. Good job.